Travis went, good soul. How many of you saw my videos lately where I encouraged you to pay very close attention to the stock market? Ignore me at your own risk. So, Alma, chapter 30, starting in verse 12. And this Antichrist, whose name was Korihor, and Mormons love to name, call, and bully others as Korihor, don't you, Mormons? And the law could have no hold upon him. Oh no! Constitution says I can do whatever I want. It is awesome not having script. And it's a good thing I'm recording this. There's no way I could remember it. Began to preach unto the people that there should be no Christ. And after this manner did he preach, saying, O ye that are bound to Jesus, good for you! Under the foolish and vain hope, why do you yoke yourselves to Jesus? I'm sorry, but it's not in here. Nelson, Oaks, hello? With such foolish things, why do you look for a Christ? Mormons don't look for a Christ. This doesn't apply to Mormons. We can just skip it. We'll use the name. That sounds good. Antichrist, Korihor, got it. Travis, Korihor. For no man can know of anything which is to come. Prophecy and revelation, time, day and hour. Behold, these things which ye call prophecies. Antichrist, no Christ. Not know of anything which is to come? Prophecies. Seeing a pattern here? They're trying to teach you, which ye say are handed down by holy prophets. Behold, they are foolish traditions of your fathers. How do ye know of their surety? And he's about to get into faith, seed, soil, fruit, or seed, egg, baby. It's science. Behold, ye cannot know of things which ye do not see. Therefore ye cannot know that there shall be a Christ. So Mormons believe that Christians are antichrists. Come on, Mormons. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to Christians. You don't believe in Trinity. You believe that Jesus Christ and Heavenly Father have a body as tangible as man's, separate and distinct from each other. That means your Christ is not the same as Christians. Should I speak slower and repeat it multiple times until it catches in? And so, what if this were the Jewish Christ? That would make you, Mormons, antichrists. Because it's not the Christian Christ, And it's not the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints of Christ. Oh no. Who is right and who is wrong, and how shall we know? 2 more chapters, verse 28, and you'll find out. Science. You look forward and say you see a remission of your sins, but behold, it is the effect of a frenzied mind. Speaking of frenzied minds, in the church news today, the Church of Jesus Christ demonstrated that they're still racist since 1978. Not kidding. Church donates mental health facility to a regional hospital, medical hospital. Medical science? Fraud of philosophy or psychology. They don't use science. They claim they do, they don't. They lie. So, psychology that we have here in the United States of America came from Nazi Germany after World War II. Given asylum, working with the CIA, MK Ultra, plutonium testing, other tortures and abuses done to the Jews, now done to American citizens, overseen by the CIA. Stanley Smith Stevens, a Mormon, likewise, who was upset with the poor treatment of fellow Nazis, became a psychologist, did his work in Colorado, and was the one who created the abomination of dichotomy and non-dichotomy categorization of human behavior. Can't be done. That's an outward behavior, outward manifestation. There are numerous causations, and the majority of behaviors are externally caused, and the United States Psychology Manual says that if it's an external causation, it therefore can't be a mental causation. Therefore, the person is not mentally retarded. And so, all of the school kids at the school, the Christian school, where the 15-year-old went on a shooting spree, yep, it's not a mental retardation of the 15-year-old. There was an external cause. Look at the Christian church and the indoctrination they did to her. Do you not know Christian doctrine towards women? Shall we refer to the Spanish Inquisition, the Salem witch trials, the mistranslation of the Bible to blame Eve and thus all women for the fall? And so, no, psychology is not a legitimate science. It is a dangerous fraud. Anybody that's involved with it, your life is in danger. And all this year, everybody in Utah should know this. Psychologists are getting locked up in prison. Treatment centers are getting shut down for their crimes and abuses towards kids, not just adults. YouTuber creators are going down in flames with psychologists. And yet, here's the church promoting mental health to blacks. See, if you don't know psychology, you don't see this abuse that the church just did. This racist abuse that the church just pulled. There is no such thing as a mental retardation of any name calling. It's all a fraud. If there's something wrong in your brain, it's a medical condition, and you need to see a medical doctor. Stay away from psychologists. And so, yes, this is old school racial hatred. You little kids have no clue what that is. You think because Israel is fighting for their survival that they're the genocidal murderers. No clue. And you're still fighting to get TikTok news to tell you what to believe. Just sick and wrong. And so, frenzied mind. Joseph Smith likewise, saying, if you find me delusional, why don't you try to recover me? Instead, you hated me and persecuted me and tried to murder me. Silence my YouTube channel. Oh, there's derangement. And this derangement of your minds comes from the tradition of your fathers. And so, no, it's not frenzied mind, it's not derangement of your mind if it's an external indoctrination. This is what he's claiming, and he's not doing it right. He's insulting them for believing in the truth of the traditions. Now, this is different than me insulting you, Mormons, for believing in the big lie of your leaders. And this automatically puts up your defenses. Oh, Travis, you're the core whore. Nelson is true, talks to Jesus. If he talks to Jesus in the Holy of Holies, and the Holy of Holies is still not available yet for use, has Jesus just not talked to Nelson all this time? Oh, he can do it wherever he wants, Travis. Now you're making stuff up. That's part of the indoctrination the church gave you. That is not science. You got to run tests. They tell you in the Bible even. Judge them by the results of their words. That's science. You're not doing it. We don't need to use science. Church is true because we felt it in our boobs. And so, which leads you away into a belief of things which are not so. See, he's somewhat correct. But again, 2 more chapters and it's fully explained where he goes wrong. And so he continues on. He talks about Darwin as being true, and that's false. Natural selection and theory of evolution and survival of the fittest, all of that is crap. None of them did the tests, and they're just branching off of their spiritual witness feelings. So, I think we have one more church news. No, I took it down. Okay. It had to do with BYU, I think. Maybe not. Yeah, it did have to do with BYU, sort of. In order to go to BYU, you have to be a full tithe payer to pay the pre-prostitution price before going to the university to select your prostitute and then get married only to her in the temple of Jesus. And so part of the other questions which are less significant than tithing, are attending church. And so thus, going to BYU, you have to attend church. If you don't attend church, you get excommunicated and kicked out of BYU. You know, sort of like getting raped as a woman. You're to blame, there's something you did wrong, and therefore you've got to go. It's your fault. You're porn. And so Christofferson, with his 70 partner, is trying to claim that because enrollment in BYU is up, and therefore enrollment in church is up, that therefore it's the Spirit working on kids. And he says, I think. He's making it up. No. Going to BYU is not fruit. It may be a seed. Going to Rick's was definitely a seed, and I produced the fruit. I know it was true that I needed to go to Rick's. It was mostly driven by the need to get away from my family. Far, far away from my family. In Idaho's hills. Anybody know that hymn? Far, far away on Judea's hills? And so in the church, they indoctrinate you from birth. We're Jewish, not Christian. That's your big clue. Should have run the test. Should have at least been you should have at least been literate about what you read when you read the Book of Mormon. 1 Nephi, chapter 1, verse 2. Wow, right there at the beginning of the book. It tells you how to interpret it. Jewish. So anytime you see Jesus, you don't use Christianity to interpret it, regardless of which branch off you use. The church wants you to use Mormonism. Jewish. And this makes you illiterate to see and read Jewish and say Jesus. It makes you both a racist and a bigot as an anti-Semite. You're dismissing your founder as Christian rather than Jewish. You're dismissing the Book of Mormon as another testament of Jesus Christ rather than Jewish. Prophecy, revelation, not literal history. And you should be angry with me if you're guilty and unable to humble yourselves like the poor Zoramites who then were taught science of the fruit from seed. You have to be compelled to believe because you're incapable of doing it yourself. And the church purposely sabotages you by telling you to read, ponder, and pray and get the right feeling, and you're done. You don't even need to bother to read and study. Don't look at the footnotes. Don't use the Bible dictionary anymore. Just use your cell phones. China's keeping track of you. And so there's a bite model by a psycho. It's wrong and incomplete. So sit right back and let a professional tell you how it's done. Come on, Mormons, run, boys, run. The devil's in the house of the rising sun. Chicken in the bread pan, picking outdoors. We heard that in grade school for a devotional. They gathered all of the students into the auditorium and they wanted to play that song for us. And they had it on a cassette, stuck it into the cassette player, and they had it hooked up to speakers, and we were all listening to it. Wow, we get to listen to music. And I'm like, what's music? Huh? I'm a Mormon boy. I don't know what music is. And the song plays, and it's kind of cool. I like it. I still do. I even like the sequel. Still do. And all of a sudden, all the kids know what's coming in the song. It's not the beat and tone. It's the lyrics. And for a Mormon boy, a female dog is like the worst thing you could say, other than the other worst things that we have no idea what they are, because we've never heard them. And so we only know the Bible swears. And so the teachers are starting to get a clue. And they start to panic. And one of them bolts up to the stage and waits for it, and then pushes pause, and then fast forwards to skip it. And I'm going, what? Huh? I don't understand. I'm a Mormon boy. And so I since heard it when I finally got a radio. My dad first gave it to me in the summertime after their anniversary. He got himself a new clock radio for his anniversary. And so he handed me down his older one, and he specifically tuned it to the AM dial. You see, kids, back in our days, we had this thing called radio. It had an AM and an FM for different frequencies. And so he set it to the Dodgers station, because he knew I loved the Dodgers. And so all during that summer, before school started again, I was enjoying listening to the Dodger games. And the Dodger games aren't on all day, every day, every day. And so there were plenty of other things for me to do, like watch television all day, every day. And so I get back to school, and I tell them that I got a clock radio for my summer vacation. And they went, oh, which songs do you listen to? Which cult group are you a part of as a genre? Huh? What? Are you country, metal, pop, disco? And wouldn't you know it, disco would then die that very October. I love disco. And it died right when I found out that there was radio stations. Oh my God. So yeah, the traumas of being a Mormon boy. So struggling. So indoctrination levels. That was the base level. That I only know what I am told to know. And that's it, and that's all. I have no idea about evil people, criminal organizations, liars. I trust my peers to tell me the truth. Wow, that was a mistake. And so this is what Mormons do when they recruit. They send out little kids who know nothing of Mormonism except their spiritual witness feelings that they were manipulated with in seminary. And they go out and cry about the Book of Mormon being true. And then people feel sorry for them and say, oh, okay, we'll pay the church money to join the church. If you're going to cry, I guess it must be true. Oh, thank you for the psychologists for our scientific medical hospitals. Church must be true. Not racist. Not at all. And so, yes, all we know is what we are told to know. And so we believe. We don't know that they're lying to us. We don't know that they are telling us falsehoods, deceiving us about what their intentions are. And so, if we're able to prove that we are suckers and losers at the base level, we then can be tested to see if we can recruit others into the lie. Missionary work. It's down there at the bottom, right after being recruited. So recruition also implies being born in the covenant path. You're recruited through seed egg baby. Science. Isn't that weird? We get recruited through the scientific process to be indoctrinated in psychological falsehoods. Interesting. We call it the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so then we go on missions. We don't know that we're committing a crime of pyramid schemes. Assuming you pay for it. I didn't. I made my parents pay for it. And so, if you can serve a full-time mission without getting your faith bubbles bursted on your mission by those who are smarter than you, you come home, and typically you are put into positions where you can instruct others in the lies. You're an expert in Mormonism because you went on a mission. You're an early morning seminary graduate. You memorized the lessons and the manuals and the discussions. You know it all. And so yes, Kwaku is that same situation. He converts as a teenager, then goes off to BYU, and he's doing fallacy, Mormon apologetics videos. It's a baseball term, oh my God. The minor leagues of Mormon apologetics. Gotta stick to the themes. And so that's what apologetics are doing. Your seminary teachers, institute instructors, Sunday school teachers, primary, Melchizedek and Relief Society teachers, all of that, to see if you can advance to this next level. And the church has found that Mormons are incapable of this level, so you read from a manual. Don't go on it alone, as a real teacher would. Read the textbooks. Don't stray. The church cannot trust you to do it right. And so, if you can read the manuals, then you get put into leadership positions. The Sunday school president, CES director, where people can write letters to you. Bishop, stake president, ward mission leader, leadership. You now are enforcers of the lie. You call, as a bishop, you call people to give the talks. You call people to callings. You are enforcing the lie by putting the right people in the right job at the right time. When my zone leader told me that, I was so pissed. So pissed. He said, yeah, just go down there. The baptism will occur on Saturday, and then you can come straight back to this area where you belong. because he didn't want to leave. He had a baptism, it was scheduled for Saturday, and so he was refusing to be transferred to the area where I was, up in Poughkeepsie. And so I go down there. The woman bailed on her baptism, and he refuses to go to Poughkeepsie still, and I'm stuck down there with my one suit for the whole time. It was at least 2 weeks down there in Massapequa, not Massapequa Park, but Massapequa, New York, there on Long Island. Dear God, what a bastard. He just didn't want to do anything on his mission. And so, yeah, I was nearing the end, and so I was well underway in getting more of the Bible read. But still, dear God. And so then, if you can prove that you're a good leader, as a mission president even, also qualifies as an enforcer, any kind of leadership position, then you get called up to be a truth concealer. That's your church history member of the 70. That's the Strengthening Church Members Committee. They are concealers of the truth by narking on critics of the church. And so they're beyond enforcing. They're now narking on those who are revealing truth to get them excommunicated and punished for revealing truth, so that the lie gets enforced with threats and violence and excommunications. And then you have those in the board of directors who endorse the lie. They quote from the top lie maker himself, and they endorse it. I quote from our dear beloved president, living prophet of Jesus. We're all bleep kissers. And so, yes, the top guy is the big lie maker. Everything gets changed in the manuals from what he creates. Everybody must now speak his words, because he has now said them. He is the master of all lies. And those at the bottom are the victims, who just have no clue. They don't know their Bible, they don't know their Book of Mormon or anything else. They don't know the history, they don't know doctrine, they don't know anything. And so when Nelson gets up there and does a mistranslation or changes scripture, the recruits and even the recruiters are clueless. They don't see it, they don't know what happened, they don't know what's wrong. They don't run the test of science that Alma, chapter 32, talks about. And so this is overlapped with the other side that I have, loyalty levels. And so this is where indoctrination in this church accompanies loyalty to the major lie maker. He's now the order giver. What he says, you have to obey him for. And he claims it's Jesus telling him to do things and hurt people. And nuke America on Christmas. And sell off the stocks to flee with the money. And so, similar thing at the bottom. You have recruits into the organization. This is the same thing for gangs and criminal organizations and all that stuff. You have to get recruits. Somebody to be loyal to you. And so this is the base thing. And if they can prove themselves to be loyalty at that level, then they then can go out and recruit others. And so on, as they prove their loyalty, Then they can be supervisors, and then bagmen. And the bagmen are the ones who, in a criminal organization, also go around and break kneecaps for those who don't pay tithing. Bishops. And deacons. I want my $2. $2. And then you have those who enforce the orders. That's your leadership, above and beyond the bagmen bishops of the Aaronic priesthood. And then up at the top is the order giver. And then I could do the administration structure for the criminal operation. It's the same thing. The church's administration structure is an exact copy of the criminal organization structure. The boss, the underboss, lieutenants, the soldiers, and then you have the associates. And so the boss, president of the church, and he has counselors. Criminal organizations typically only have one counselor, and then the underboss is the president of the Quorum of the 12. The lieutenants are the 12. And so the soldiers are everybody below in the Melchizedek priesthood. And the associates are those in the public, whether for business, whether for government, those in society who they can compromise to do them a favor, though, to not punish them for their crimes and abuses and murders and rapes and prostitutions and sex traffickings and indefinite incarcerations and psychology tortures. Because back in the 80s, after psychology was trying to work its way across the nation, in the 80s, psychologists were doing conversion therapy on those who they were able to bully to come out of the closet as gay. They were just electric shock therapying them. That's it. Zzz, zzz. Torturing people on purpose. It is not a therapy. And so in the 90s, psychologists got into every single public schools, and they were destroying our public school system. This is not only where kids had to bring emotional support animals to school, no longer could they be hugged, and they can't take tests anymore because it's too stressful, and so it's a pass-fail grade as long as they participate, and they get a participation sticker rather than a diploma, and then they go out into the job market, and they demand that businesses pay them high living wages to destroy the business because they don't know anything. They weren't educated in sciences. And also, this is where the psychologists were taking advantage of the doctor-client confidentiality to tell kids, oh, it sounds like you are LGBTQIAPO+. Remember in the 80s? They were electrocuting you. And now they're creating more bullying name-calling for you, and you embraced it, and you don't understand it's separate but equal Confederate lawmaking. You're being used and abused. And so now you go to see them, and they may or may not electroshock therapy you, but you're still going to them. You're paying their lifestyle, and it's expensive. So we need to force insurance companies to cover it. Yep, the big con and scam. And so this is why the church uses it in Utah. So all of the falsehoods of psychology are used with the religion to indoctrinate Mormons. And they force it in the sciences at BYU's, the government's forced to use it, in the legal system. They get first responders to not only be indoctrinated themselves with mental health, but also to have mental health psychologists on the force. And then you also have the press that are to spread the lie about psychology, to tell of its praises and virtues, and the need to interview psychologists to tell people that they need to pay them their lifestyle. So it's all one big scam. So that's it for today. I don't want to start any blasphemous rumors, but I think that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has got a sick sense of humor. Guess what's the song and the theme song below? And now I can throw this paper away. Oh, right. Will you choose your own path, or will you have it chosen for you? From Heroes, that I gave up on. Dear God. He steals from his mom the catalyst, deceives her into thinking that he's going to protect it. He gets back to the real time, and it's instantly stolen from him, and he loses all his powers. That was too much. I couldn't take it anymore. I can't stand it. It was driving me crazy all through the show, and I just, nope. And why is he going back in time? There was no need for that. He learns about his hero from comic books that his dad read to him, or the stories that his dad told him. And so then he goes back in time to his hero, and he has to fix his hero, and then he actually becomes the hero. It's all screwed up. That was not necessary. It's just... Oh my God. We're done.